Russian President Vladimir Putin has called on Ukrainian troops fighting in the Kursk region to surrender. This shortly after US President Donald Trump urged him to spare the lives of the Ukrainian troops. Now, Trump says his envoy held productive talks with Putin on the proposed 30-day ceasefire, even as Russia's counter-offensive in Kursk region. Now, Russia claims to have retaken Sudzha, the biggest town in the Kursk region. So what you're seeing on your screen right now are the images of Sudzha in ruins. This marks a significant shift in the ongoing 3-year-old war. The key town in Kursk was captured by Ukraine in August last year. Ukraine's top military commander, General Alexander Syrskyi, says Russian aircraft conducted so many strikes on Kursk that Sudzha has been almost completely left destroyed. Russia claims it has intensified evacuation of civilians from Sudzha. In a video released by Russia, evacuees can be seen in a temporary accommodation point where they receive psychological support. Further, Russia has announced that its forces have regained control of 28 settlements in western Kursk over the past week, while Ukraine has reported repelling 22 Russian attacks in the region. As the fierce fighting rages on in the Kursk region, President Putin has called on Ukrainian troops fighting in Kursk to surrender in response to Trump's call. Now, he goes on to say that the Ukrainian troops will be guaranteed life if they lay down their arms.
In order to effectively implement the call of the President of the United States of America, we need a corresponding order from the military and political leadership of Ukraine to its military units to lay down their arms and surrender.
Well, this comes after Trump wrote on his social media platform, Truth Social, that he has strongly requested Putin that lives of Ukrainian soldiers be spared. A direct conversation between the two leaders is yet to take place, but Trump's special envoy, Steve Witkoff, met with the Russian president in Moscow on Thursday. Trump said in a post that they had very good and productive discussions. Later, at Joint Base Andrews outside Washington, Trump said some pretty good vibes are coming from Russia in talks to reach a ceasefire.
The standpoint about a ceasefire and ultimately a deal, some pretty good vibes coming out of Russia.
U.S. Secretary of State Marco Rubio has reiterated the need for concessions, calling on both Ukraine and Russia to make compromises. Now, after the G7 talks in Canada, Rubio said that the only way to end the war is through negotiations, which involves both sides making concessions.
That there has to be some level of concessions. What those concessions are remains to be seen. That'll have to be part of the negotiation. But it's not going to be helpful to enter into those negotiations making blanket statements that may give an excuse for one side or the other not to participate in it.
Ukrainian President Volodymyr Zelensky has said that diplomacy efforts are moving towards the end of the war and closer to peace. He said Ukraine has accepted the American proposal of unconditional silence in the sky, at sea and on the front. Zelensky further said that he had discussed the state of diplomacy with French President Macron, reaffirming that Ukraine has clear support from France. European nations are convening in Kyiv's support amid growing worries over Washington cozying up to Moscow. In a social media post, Macron also said he had discussed the ceasefire proposal with Zelensky and British Prime Minister Keir Starmer. Macron has called on Moscow to stop its acts of violence and accept the proposal made by Washington and Kyiv and stop making statements aimed at delaying the process. Starmer has also accused Putin of not taking ceasefire attempts seriously, stressing that he cannot be allowed to play games with Trump's deal. Moving on, in a move expelled South Africa's ambassador to the US, Ibrahim Rasool. Now, the move has been announced by U.S. Secretary of State Marco Rubio. In a social media post on X, Rubio accused Rasool of being a race-baiting who hates America and Donald Trump. Rubio declared the South African diplomat a persona non grata. Rubio also shared an article from the conservative news site Breitbart, which carried Ambassador Rasool's comments as a foreign policy seminar in Johannesburg. Now, according to the news site, Rasool blamed white supremacy behind Trump's disrespect for the global order. He also claimed that Trump's MAGA movement was a white supremacist reaction to increasing diversity in the U.S. Meanwhile, the president's office in South Africa acknowledged U.S.'s decision and urged stakeholders to maintain established diplomatic decorum. The statement reiterated South Africa's commitment to building a mutually beneficial relationship with the United States. United States' ties with South Africa have deteriorated since Trump cut financial aid to the country. Trump had criticized a controversial land law introduced by South Africa's Ramaphosa government as racist. Now, billionaire Elon Musk has also criticized the land law in social media posts and called it a threat to South Africa's white minority. And for more, WION's correspondent Calden Ungmu has sent us this report from Johannesburg. Take a look.
The battle lines are drawn, your diplomacy isn't working. Clearly, US is not interested in talking to Ramaphosa. These are just some of the reactions of ordinary South Africans after US Secretary of State Marco Rubio said that South Africa's ambassador to US, Ibrahim Rasool, is no longer welcome to their country. South Africa's presidency and Department of International Relations has said they've noted the expulsion and urged all relevant and impacted stakeholders to maintain the established diplomatic decorum. President Ramaphosa has stated on many occasions that they are ready to talk and engage with the Trump administration and mend ties. But this latest action proves that US wants to isolate and turn up the heat to discredit South Africa's standing on the grand stage in the complex web of geopolitics. This is Calden Ungmu from Johannesburg, South Africa for WION World is One.